السلام عليكم ورحمة الله ورمضان كريم عليكم. رجعت لكم بعد طول غياب، وإن شاء الله نرجع من أول نشرح المواد العلمية والعلوم بإذن الله. اليوم حناخد درس الديريفاتيف المشتقة والتفاضل في الرياضيات بصورة مبسطة جدا. So let's gonna start. So when we talk about derivative in a simple meaning, let's start with the rule of the derivative. Let me write. If I have dx, let's say raised to the power n, which is n could be any numbers, dx, the derivative of x here, when we talk about derivative, the rule or the general rule is just equal the whole number. So this power is going to change to be a whole number, that will be n multiplied by x. The same base here, which is x. Instead of raising to the power n, will be raised to n minus 1. That in a simple meaning when we are gonna look for the derivative n for any function. So let's have some example. If I have x squared and they ask me to find the derivative of this function or this variable x squared, so the derivative dx squared dx should equal, as a rule, we're gonna take the power here will be a whole number. So here n, here is 2, so will equal 2 times x raised to the power 2 minus 1, that is 1. And as we know, any variable raised to the power 1, we don't write it. So the final answer is just equal to x. Okay, how about if I have, say, they asking for the derivative of, let's say, 5x squared. So you see, this time we already have a whole number here. So we're gonna solve it step by step. Based on the derivative should be equal n x raised to the power n minus 1. So here n is 2, so it should just equal 2x as we solve it. But since I have addition number here, it's a whole number, so we're gonna just multiply. So it will be 5 times 2 times x. So 5 times 2, that is 10. So we have 10x. Okay. Let's have, when it's we have two variables, it's like a function and it's two variables add to each other and asking for the derivative. If I have 6x raised to the power 3 plus 2x raised to the power, let's say, 5. So the derivative of this function, step by step, here we have x raised to the power and here is 3, so will be just 3x squared, and we already have 6 as a whole number, so will be 6 times 3, that is 18x raised to the power 2 plus the next one we have 2x raised to the power 5, so will be 5 times 2, that's 10x raised to the power 4, because we're just gonna subtract n minus 1. Here n is 5 minus 1, that's 4. So the new function after find the derivative is just 18x squared plus 10x raised to the power 4. Okay, let's have addition example when it's subtract 10x raised to the power, let's say, 4 minus 3x. So they ask me what is the derivative of this function. Step by step solve it with the same way. So we're gonna take n at the whole number, then n minus 1. So 4 times 10, that's 14. 14x raised to the power 4 minus 1, that's 3. So 14x raised to the power 3 minus, here you can see it's 3x, and based on the rule of the derivative, it should be x raised, here x, since we don't have any numbers, we know that x raised to the power 1, right? And 1 minus 1, that's 0. And in mathematics, any variable raised to the power 0, that means x raised to the power 0, that should equal just 1. So now we have replaced that x by 1. 1 times 3, that is 3. So just equal -3. That's how you solve it for any function we have added to each other or subtract from each other. How about when I have two functions multiply? Okay, let's say we have 2x times 3x squared. So this is a multiply and they asking for the derivative here. So the derivative of this function when it's multiplication, يعني عملية بينهم ضرب. In general, if I want to write any other rule, okay, let me delete this one. So the rule for multiplication, I can write it just here above before we solve this function. So it will be like this. If I have it as a variables instead of numbers, let's say we have h and w. Okay, so we have two functions here and they asking for the derivative of this function, h times w. So in this case you need to find the derivative of the first function, which is h here. So I'm gonna put slash here. That is the derivative of h times the derivative is given from equation, which is w here, plus the second the first function, which is h. I'm just gonna write it as given times the second derivative function here, or the second function here, or second variable. I'm gonna find the derivative of this variable. So the derivative of w will be w. So that means the derivative. So that's how you solve it in a simple way. The derivative of multiplication, you're just gonna find the derivative of the first function times the second one plus the first times the derivative of the second variable. So here in this question I have dx, the derivative of 2x times 3x. As a rule, we're gonna look for the first derivative. So 2x, the derivative of 2x, that's just 2, right? So it will be 2 times the second variable, which is 3x squared. I'm gonna write it as it without change it. So 3x squared plus the first function or the first variable, which is 2x. I'm gonna write it as given 2x times the derivative of 3x squared. So what is the derivative of this function? The derivative of 3x squared is with the same step here, should be equal n times x raised of n minus 1. So n here is 2. So it will be 2 times 3, that's 6 for sure, and times x, the variable raised to the power n minus 1. Here n is 2. 2 minus 1, 1. So the new derivative for 3x squared is 6x. So that will be 2x times 6x. So the new function, if we try to simplify it more, so now I have 2 times 3x squared. 2 times 3, that is 6. 6x squared plus I have 2x times 6x. 2 times 6, that is 12. And as you know, mathematically, this x, right? X times x. That means we have the same base but the same different variable. لما يكون عندنا الأساس واحد والقوة متغيرة and it's multiplication والعملية ضرب. In this case, I'm just gonna add the powers together. So here x raised to the power 1 and also here x raised to the power 1. So it will be just 1 plus 1, that's 2. So I have 12x squared. But still I can multiply it more. Since I have the same variable, I have here 6x squared added to 12x squared, so I can just write x squared one time or once time instead of repeat it twice, and find the summation of the two numbers. نوجد مجموع الرقمين. So 6 plus 12, that is 18x squared. That's how we solve it for the multiplication of the derivative. Okay, let me make the size very small. طيب, let's have another example for the multiplication. After that, we're gonna solve for divide or division 1. Okay. Okay, make the size smaller. Type for let's have another example. If I have let's say 10 x raised to the power 6 times let's say 5 x raised to the power 3. So they're asking here to find the derivative of this function. As you can see, this function, it's multiplication because it's time here multiply. So we're gonna solve it with the same step. So when it's multiplication, you're gonna multiply, as I write it here, the derivative of the first variable times the second one plus the first times the derivative of the second one. So the derivative of the first one here, if I'm gonna write it here down, just like the rules, nx raised to the power n minus 1. So that means 6x raised to the power 5. And since I have 10 here, it will be 6 times 10, that's 60. So the new derivative here will be 60x raised to the power 5. This is the first. So the first derivative times the second one is given, times 5x raised to the power 3 plus, then the second time you're gonna just write the given here, which is 10 x raised to the power 6 times the derivative of 5x raised to the power 3. So the derivative of this one will be 3 times 5, that's 15 for sure, 15 x raised to the power 2. So that is the final answer, and you can simplify it more if you can. We have 60x 5 times 5x squared multiply, okay, times 5x raised to the power 3 plus 10x raised to power 6, this is a given one, times 15. So 60 times 5, as I know, 6 times 5, that's 330. And since it's 60, so it will be 300. So 300x. So as we know, when we have the same base but different powers, اللي بيكون عندنا نفس الأساس، هي الأساس x and different powers, and it's multiply, I can add the powers together. So 5 plus 3, that is 8. So it will be 300 x raised to the power 8 plus, we have 10x raised to the power 6 times 15x. So 10 times 15, that's 150. And since it's multiplication with the same base, we're just gonna add the power together. 6 plus 2, that's 8. So I have 300x raised to the power 8 plus 150 x raised to the power 8, and at the same time. So this is addition. So we need just to add the numbers together. So I have 300 added to 150, that will be 450 x raised to the power 8. That's the final answer. That's for multiplications. The size of the here eraser is very small. Okay, so that is for multiplication. Now let's try find the derivative of division one or divide. So for the derivative, if I'm gonna write the rule here, okay, the rule for the divide one. So D, let's have the letter F. The derivative F, that is divided by H. So the derivative of this equation will be, you're gonna write the variable on the bottom will be on the top. يعني نكتب المتغير الموجود في المقام on the top here. So will be equal H times the derivative of F. So that means the denominators times the derivative of the numerator once minus the variable on the top, which is F, times the derivative of the bottom here, which is H. So that's the derivative. All this side will be divided by H square. H square. So that is the rule for the derivative in case of divide one. So let's have some example for it. Okay, if I have, let's say 6x square. طيب 6x square divided by x, and they asking for to find the derivative of this function. So step by step we're gonna write the variable on the bottom, which is here x, so it will be x times the derivative of the top. So the derivative of here is 6x squared, that is equal 12x, the first part, minus f, here f 6 squared, 6x squared, so minus 6x squared times the derivative of h, here h is x, so the derivative of x here, that is 1, so will be times 1. All should be divided by x squared, that will be here x squared. So we have x times 12x. When we have same base and it's multiply, you're just gonna add the powers, يعني نجمع القوة. So x raised to the power 1 plus times x raised to the power 1, so 1 plus 1, that is 2. So I will have x squared, and since I have a whole number here, will be 12x squared minus 6x squared, all divided by x squared. So that is will be the final answer. Okay. So the final answer will be 12. بما أن هي العملية ضرب والأساس واحد, the base here is same, it's x and x, we can just add or find the summation of the powers. Here is the power 1, and here also 1 plus 1, that's 2, so will equal 12x squared minus, I have 6, so 6x squared, because 6x squared times 1, that is will give the same variable, لأن إحنا من أول عارفين أي رقم مضروب في واحد gives the same number, all divided by x squared. So we can simplify it more. We have 12x squared minus 6x squared. Since I have the same base here and the نفس الأساس with the same powers, I'm just gonna subtract the number here. So 12 minus 6, that will leave 6 for sure. So it will be 6x squared divided by x squared. So that will be the final answer, or you can even more simplify it. So that's related to exponent here. I have x raised to the power 2 divided by x raised to the power 2. So when it's a division, you get just gonna subtract the power. So 2 minus 2, that is for sure equal 0, right? If I write it step by step, 2 minus 2 is minus, so that means 0. وانا من أول عارفة any power, any variable raised to the 0, x raised to the power 0, that's equal 1. So what left here is 1. 1 times 6, that's 6. So the final answer of this variable 6x squared divided by x is just equals 6. That's how we solve it, step by step. Just follow the rule. Okay, let's have another example for divide 1. So if I have this time, let's say 5x raised to the power 3 plus, okay, let's make it some summation and also divide. 5x raised to the power 3 plus 2x raised to the power 2 all divided by, let's say 3x. So they asking to find the derivative of this function or this variable. So if you already get the rules of how to solve it, try solve it, or try stop the video and until you solve it and check for your answer after I solve it. So let me just erase all this one. Okay, so did you already solve it? Okay, let's try solve it together. So I have 5x raised to the power 3 plus 2x raised to the power 2 all divided by 3x. So we have here a divide, and at the same time it's added to each other. If we're gonna solve step by step for the division one, we're gonna take as the rule said, here's the rule. If you can't remember it, I already write it, here's the rule. So you're gonna take the bottom divided by the whole part, the derivative of the whole part. So here is the bottom 3, so it should equal, I'm gonna write in small size so will be enough space, 3x times حطها بين أقواس. So what is the derivative of this part, or the top, for the top part? So I have 5x raised to the power 3, the derivative of this part will be 3 times 5, that's 15 for sure, so 15. And you're just gonna subtract the n minus 1. Here n is 3. 3 minus 1, that's 2. So 15x squared plus the derivative of 2x squared, that's 4x. Okay, this is the first part. As the rule say, you're gonna take the bottom, multiply by the derivative of the top, then subtract it the top. You're gonna write all this part. So let me write it. It's minus 5 x raised to the power 3 plus 2x raised to the power 2. This all should be multiplied by the derivative over the bottom here, which is 3x. So what is the derivative of 3x? Since x here raised to the power 1, so it will be 1 minus 1, that's 0. And as I already mentioned, any variable raised to the power 0, that's equal 1. So 1 times 1 times 3 equals 3. So all this part should be multiplied by 3. Okay, after that, all this side should be divided by h squared. Where is h squared here? That represents 3x. So it will be 3x all raised to the power 2. If I'm gonna write the أكتب الحل على طول 3x square that will be 9x square because you know the power here it's for the all part يعني الباور 2 القوة 2 هي بتكون لل all the variable with the whole number so 3 raised to the power 2 that's 3 times 3 9 and x raised to the power 2 so that's x square. So I have now did the function I can simplify it so I have 3x should be multiplied in the whole number inside so 3x times 15x square first you're gonna just find multiply 3 times 15 so this 3 times 15 if I try multiply faster 3 times 5 that's 15 for sure 5 and we put 1 here 3 times 1 3 3 plus 1 4 so that will equal 45x what we have x2 and x so since it's same base but different powers إذا كان الأساس واحد والقوة مختلفة we just gonna submit أجمع القوة so I'm gonna here submit this number to this so here since it's not written that's mean 1 time 1 plus 3 1 plus 2 that is 3 so I have 45x raised to the power 3 plus same so this time also you're gonna multiply this one in here so 3x times 4x that is 12x square. Square. Let me clean here this side. Okay, so 3 times 4 that's 12x square minus so I have 3 also 3 should be multiplied in all parts so and don't forget this minus for all sides so 3 times 5 that is 15 and that's 15 and I already have x raised to the power 3 so I'm just gonna write it as it. Remember the minus for all the parts so minus go here minus times positive will be minus 3 times 2 that is 6 x raised to the power 2 all divided by 9 x square. So that will be the answer and if you want you can simplify it more you're just gonna look for all the power with the same all the variable with the same power. إذا عندنا المتغيرات بنفس القوة then you're gonna subtract it or add it to each other it depends on the equation we have it here. Okay so we have 45x raised to the power 3 and also I have negative 15x squared. So I have like one variable with the same power 3 and 3 so since it's negative that means you're gonna subtract so 45 minus 15 what's left here will be just 30 right because 30 added to 15 that's 45 for sure and just you're gonna write the variable as it so it will be 30x raised to the power 3 and also I have x raised to the power 2 and x raised to the power 2 and since العلامة بين المتغيرين here is positive but this is negative so I'm gonna subtract 12 minus 6 that will be 6 and remember pay attention for the signs which one is greater 12 or 6 so of course 12 is greater than 6 since 12 is positive so I'm just gonna put positive plus what the result after subtract that is x is at 6x square so that I simplify the number on the top while what's left in bottom it's 9x raised to the power 2 so that is the final answer. You can simplify it more and or you can just write it like this so that will be the final answer. It's equal 30x raised to the power 3 plus 6x squared all divided by 9x raised to the power 2. So I think that will be the end of this simple lesson. I hope you understand it. We know the meaning of the derivative, how we solve it, the derivative of addition and summation, the derivative of divide when and also for multiply. So step by step you can solve it. I hope you already understand, and if you have any question about specific topic just write it on the comment so I will explain for you in easier way. And don't forget to share the link with your friends. إذا عندكم أي درس في لمادة العلوم أو ما يخص المواد العلمية just write it in the comment. So until next time, bye.